Coming now, come on. Time's up. Time's up.
Hello, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us on another festive holiday podcast here. My name is Victor Vrba, and I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Jeffrey Young. Jeff, how you doing today, buddy?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Glad we're getting into these holidays. It seems like it's been a little bit of another long year. Enjoying spending some time with the family and just getting to relax a little bit.
Absolutely, and like any holiday, dude, I am drinking my holiday cocktail. I have my eggnog here. Jeff, do you like eggnog?
Vic, I've actually never had eggnog.
Get out of here, dude! Seriously?
Nah, it just doesn't seem
Never?
very appealing to me. I actually don't even know what's in it. I bartended for a number of years, and I can't tell you anything about eggnog other than I feel like it's like heavy cream and some booze, and I just don't feel like that would mix very well.
Oh, dude, it's actually wonderful. It's my festive holiday drink, which I am drinking today. So one of the reasons I asked you about that is because eggnog can be made any number of ways. I personally, I'm not a big bourbon fan, but I like bourbon in my eggnog. But there's also, I've seen people put brandy in the eggnog, which it kind of weirds me out a little bit. I've seen people put rum in there, which is actually kind of tasty. Whiskey in their eggnog. So I was actually kind of curious if you ever had any eggnog, but what you put in it. But I personally am a bourbon person with my eggnog. And one of the reasons I ask is let us know what you guys put in your eggnog. I'm curious because there's some weird stuff out there. And one of the concoctions I was thinking about, and this kind of popped into my head yesterday as I'm thinking about booze pretty much constantly, was eggnog with bourbon, because I'm a bourbon eggnog guy. But I was thinking about putting some bitters in there. I was thinking like somebody had shown me a bottle of black cherry vanilla bitters. And I was like, oh, I think that would go wonderful with eggnog. So I might actually have to go pick out a bottle of black cherry vanilla bitters after this podcast here and let you know how that goes. But let us know what you guys put in your eggnog. Let us know that, if there's anything unique that you've tried with your eggnog, because I'm willing to drink it. I will give it a shot unless it's Malort's. Don't put Malort's into anything. But I'd love to hear from you guys and let us know what you guys put in your eggnog to spice it up a little bit. So,
yeah, I for the most part am just a beer guy. So,
okay.
I've been doing the, I love the Oktoberfest, all the Oktoberfest.
Oh, yeah.
Seem to hit August, around the August time frame. That kind of stuff comes out. I've actually still got a case out in my garage, and now we're getting into. I like the Winter Lager from Sam Adams. So now I've kind of shifted into that. But I'm sorry I couldn't contribute to the eggnog conversation. But I'll be interested to see. Again, I bartended for a number of years, and I'll be interested to see what kind of different liquors people are using in their eggnog.
I kind of am too, because I think there's a couple things that you could put in there that I've never really thought about, like maybe something licoricey could kind of. It'll be interesting to see what people have done, people have tried, but also what people want me to try.
In it?
Yeah, I'm not a big Jaeger fan, man. Too many Jaeger bombs when I was young, dude. Too many Jaeger bombs when I was young. I can't do that anymore. But so hey, man. Speaking of eggnog and holidays, how were your holidays, man?
They were good. Took in some sports. My team did not win on Thursday. No, I'm not a Lions fan. I happen to be a Cowboys fan. And I felt like the world was against us in that game. But I digress. I will not go too deep into that. We started doing Thanksgiving on Saturday instead of Thursdays,
Really?
which
Okay.
as a Cowboys fan, I like that. I can kind of just wander around the house and do my thing on Thursday. I don't have a house full of people bothering me during the football game. We've got time to clean, get ready to entertain, Thursday before the game, Friday, and then, usually have a house full of people on Saturday. And it brings up one of those funny things that us as IT people deal with is Victor, you had your rant last time regarding your Windows 11 upgrade,
Love it.
which I still think is pretty funny. But it's the family arriving at the house and inevitably somebody going, "Hey, can you take a look at something on my phone?" Or, "I brought my laptop; it's out in the car." And we all get hit with it as IT people, right? And it's like, can I just kind of enjoy the time? This Thanksgiving was the first Thanksgiving in 13 years that I wasn't on call in some fashion. I wasn't worried about a customer, network going down or phones not working or something, and made it till about 9:30 on that Saturday. Was sitting there hanging out with my daughter and my wife, talking to one of my nieces, and I see it coming through my kitchen into my living
like
room.
a radar.
and it's a family member, laptop in hand, walking toward me.
Oh no! They brought their laptop.
Brought it. Yeah, they brought. I mean, this was premeditated, right? So they sit down and go, "Hey, my virus protection doesn't work." And I said, "What do you mean it doesn't work?" And they said, "Well, the subscription ran out." And I said, "Okay. Did you go to the website to renew it?" "No." "Okay." So that doesn't stop the progression, right? Now we're sitting down, we're opening the laptop, and go to turn it on, and the screen doesn't turn on, right? The power light's on, screen doesn't turn on.
Oh yeah.
And she goes, "Well, I don't know what's happening here," and looks at me. I'm not that kind of, I'm not a computer engineer. I don't know what's happening with the monitor, but can you try turning it off and turning it on again, right? Because that fixes, everything.
Fixes everything. It's Windows, man.
Yeah.
Just reboot.
So gives that a shot, and that doesn't fix it. Fast forward a few minutes, and she goes, "Well, I'm just going to leave this here, and I'll get it sometime." So now the onus is on me, right? Now I have a computer that I have to fix, all because their McAfee subscription ran out and they couldn't renew it themselves.
All this on your Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
the computer guy, right? I know something about phones, and I know how to fix laptop screens also, apparently.
Dude, I know your plight, man. I know your plight. And one of the things that always gets me about that, and because it happens to anybody that even
Every
remotely works in the computer world, everybody just thinks you are the IT person. And you know everything about fixing individual computers or laptops or hardware or whatever it is. But one of the things that always gets me is people expect it to be like that. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'll just give it to you, and 5 minutes later, everything will be working the way that it's supposed to."
Yeah.
And that's always one of those things. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to somebody's house and they're just like, "Oh yeah, same thing. Oh, this isn't quite working right. Can you take a quick look at it?" And you go in there, and they've got more problems than you know what to do with, and we're like, I could either go out and have a couple cocktails with you, or I could spend 6 or 7 hours trying to fix your computer here.
Yeah.
And that's if I could even fix it. But yeah, I know that plight, man, because it's like that beeline right to you. You can see it coming from across the room that this person's got a question and it's IT related.
Yeah. I wonder if that happens in other professions, right? I mean, if your brother's a mechanic, do you drive your car over there that needs new brakes, and when they're done, say, "Hey, can we shoot right out here and change the brakes on my car while I'm here?" I don't understand it, and I know it's an
I've got
industry
this
joke,
rash over here. I hear you're a nurse, right?
Yeah. Can you check out my shoulder while I'm here? And I think it's a joke, right? All of us in the technical field get it, and it happens all the time, I think. But it's just I wonder if it happens in other inders. I don't know.
Yeah, I try to think about it, and
I need to get some mechanic friends if it does.
Well, you know what? Usually with my mechanic friends, I'll schedule that. I'll be like, "Hey, dude, you up for some beers and maybe a brake job?"
Yeah, give me a heads up. Nope, man. I'm telling you what. Like I said, I looked up, and Oh, and I left out the part where I said, she puts the computer on my lap, and I go, "Well, how old is this thing?" And she goes, "Well, I mean, I got it when
Oh,
I was
dude,
in
that's
grad
another thing,
school."
man.
Yeah, I got it when I
Uh-huh.
was in grad school. I think she's been out of grad school like 5 years. So that means this computer's like 7 years old. I just, yeah. So anyway, it's sitting down in my living room, and I looked at it
Still
last
there.
night. Yeah,
Still
I looked
there.
at it last night when I was watching football and I just kind of grimaced and went. So, all right, my rant's over. My rant's over. I'm
No,
sure.
that's good, man, because it is so true. I mean, it is so true. Like, even in our industry, everybody's just like, well, you do technology. Like, of course you could fix my computer. And I'm not a Mac guy. I've had somebody give me Macs before, and they're like, hey, can you do this for me? I'm like, oh, God. I was like, really? And then it takes me like 4 hours just to figure out where everything is before I can even start looking at it.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
because you
I
inherently
feel
know
your
everything.
pain. Exactly. Yeah, I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain,
Yeah.
and good luck with that, man. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah, don't get me started on and I don't want to start this argument, but the Android versus iPhone argument. Don't get me start. I'm an iPhone user, and I tell you, someone hands me their Android, and I look at it like it's a foreign language to me. They seem to be getting a little better, and again, I'm not saying one's better than the other. But I am just used to what I'm used to, and someone
Right.
hands me a device and goes, "Well, it's not making any noise," and I'm like, what? Where's your settings? I don't know where anything is in here. But again, we're IT people, so we just know.
Dude,
So
that's funny because I'm an Android user, and when people hand me their Macs or their iPhones, I'm like, how do you shut these apps down? How do I get like my kids will come over and like they'll have a little friend over or something like that, and they'll be like, well, can I get your Wi-Fi? I was like, yeah, of course you can have my Wi-Fi. I was like, how do you get into Wi-Fi? I was like,
yeah,
where's the
where's
damn
that at?
Wi-Fi thing? Yeah, no, I'm the same way, and I'm an Android guy, and that's well, we can save that topic for another day because I think we could go quite in depth on that one.
Yeah,
I think there's reasons that I prefer Android over iPhone, but that's more parental than I'd say anything else.
exactly. While we're on the topic of IT and fixing things, um, we talk about services stuff.
Yeah.
You're a services guy.
Yep.
Majority of my career has been services. Um, and there's a lot of offerings out there. I worked for a managed service provider for a number of years. We have a number of our partners that are managed service providers. We obviously are a vendor, and there's vendors out there offering different types of services. Um, it's one of those things that when I looked at it from being on the partner side. One of the things that we ran into a lot of times was, very thin IT departments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as we're talking about where the IT guys were supposed to know everything, right? That's kind of how it works within organizations.
Absolutely.
Um, and it's again for people listening to this, I would assume it's probably a fair amount of collaboration, folks. If you ask any of them to, grab the security guy or the network guy and say, hey, can you configure a phone for me? It's, what
Yep.
is this? I don't understand any of this, right? But the collab guys typically know some network related stuff and that kind of thing. Um, and we've got service offerings. Other vendors have service offerings. Um, there's just a lot of stuff to take into account. But running with the thin IT departments, I'm wondering how many of them are going outside for managed services, for vendor related services. Vic, you see it on your side. What
Yeah. Yeah.
what are your what are your kind of take? And not even really verify specific, obviously.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point. Hey, you're the IT guy, of course you know everything, and you get everything. But I think that's spot on because that's probably one of the number one things that we see is they've got this IT guy or these couple IT guys, and they've got a networking guy who inherited a phone system, or they got a phone guy who inherited a network and some other parts of the system, and whether Verify or any other application, now they're going to inherit that ultimately. And that's one of the things that we see is because they don't have the resources. A lot of these guys, they're already stretched thin. One of the things and speaking from a Verify side of things that we see a lot of is, and it's unfortunate, is we'll go into companies and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is great, this is the IT, capacity utilization, whatever, drop calls, and my question is, especially, when I'm working with a customer, ever an existing customer or a customer coming on, are you guys rolling this out to other folks within the organization? Ultimately, a lot of times it's like, we're kind of afraid to, because then they're going to have a bunch of questions and we don't have time to answer those questions, things like that. And we see that a lot. And that's not just Verify. That's just in general, is that we see companies afraid to roll out technology to other people or give them the power to control that technology because of the questions that are going to come to them and either their ability to field them, because that wasn't their area of expert. I'm not an iPhone guy. If you said, hey, guess what? You're the iPhone service guy, I'm going to be like, crap. And it's just not their area of expertise. And that's where services really come in handy. And I think a lot of these companies, some of them take great advantage of that. Where they are not overloading one or two or three people with all these different IT related applications, and I'll air quote IT related applications because everything's an IT related application.
Sure.
My browser goes down, it's an IT related application. But you see a lot of these overloaded. So I think a lot of them do take advantage of that. And it's smart companies that do that. Because when your IT folks, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm using IT in a very general term here, obviously, is overloaded with one, they don't have the resources to manage all that. So smart companies do take advantage of the service offerings for a lot of their customers, because it means that IT guy is not having to worry about one more application on top of one more application on top of one more application. And that's one of the biggest benefits, I think, of service offerings, is freeing up those resources, and also, giving the people that can use those resources better access to somebody that may be more knowledgeable than the IT guy, who just got thrown this application because they needed a piece of it, or somebody else needed the application, but you're the IT guy, so you got to install it, you got to maintain it, you got to troubleshoot it, you got to build the reports. Let an expert handle it, is really what it comes down to. And that's kind of the real benefit I see of service offerings is freeing up that resource, but also letting an expert take advantage of it, letting an expert take advantage to be able to give that end user the experience that they want out of an offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some pretty wild things.
I bet you have.
Just from, we had a client. I had a client a number of years ago. I would say probably in the ballpark of 5 years ago. This person was relatively new to the organization, single IT person in the organization. My team was working with him, and, we kind of came to find out through talking to the guy and that kind of thing, that he was working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and sometimes more. And, the organization had not kept up technology-wise. For the technical people out there, we're talking they still had PIXs in their environment, from a firewall perspective, that were extremely outdated. But it was putting the bandages on and trying to hold things together. And, I guess that person kind of saw my team because we came in with a number of engineers to actually install a phone system, but obviously had other areas of technology that we could assist with, and it was kind of weird. It was almost fearful for that person's job, that we were going to come in and take that person's job, and I have kind of direct conversations with people sometimes. And I kind of just had to pull the guy aside and say, look, man, we don't want your day-to-day job. We're not trying to do that. You deal with your end users and make sure they're happy. Let us help you, because your quality of life is not great if you're working 84 to 90 hours a week. And I mean, the guy was just completely getting burnt out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the more extreme things that I've seen. In dealing with customers and organizations, and it's the organization, whether I think the organization probably didn't want to hire another IT person, but I also don't know that they actually knew what this gentleman was doing weekly, and how much he was actually working in the background.
Yep.
And it was, it kind of came to the point where we would catch just dumb mistakes. But you're going to do that when you're working those crazy hours, right? You're gonna reboot a server within your virtual environment, and maybe the 10 other ones that you rebooted, everything came up fine, and you reboot the one and go to bed and don't check it, and that's the one that doesn't come up correctly.
Right.
It's just stuff like that we saw. I don't want to say often, but often enough. That it just shouldn't be happening, right?
Yeah.
There's obviously enough partner service providers, service desks, enhanced services through vendors, that they're there to help. And it's just kind of getting over that hump again of people possibly being fearful of losing their job, which again, I will stand and I will say to this day and continue to say that, only managed service providers are there to take anybody's jobs, right? They're there to assist. They're there to augment staff. At least that was the position that we had. And do I want to handle, an Outlook issue? Not necessarily, right? You handle the Outlook issue. Let me figure out why your phones won't register, or why you can't get to one of your remote sites across your MPLS, right? That's kind of the service that we were doing at that point. Now, things I think with the organization that I work for are changing a little bit, right? And they're looking to branch out, which is awesome. But like I said, I enjoyed being on that service side. I know that you're on the service side, and I try to kind of keep my ear into what you're doing, because I enjoy it. But with some of the stuff that we're doing, even being able to, I was on a call, last week, with a client, and they said, we don't want to be the reports department.
Right.
We're giving access, and this goes into what you said, right? We're giving access to some of our users to be able to do their own reports, but I don't want to do reports all the time. I can, but I don't want to. Right. And that's, I think you and I were both on that call, and Lightbulb probably actually did appear over both of us and went, hey, this is a great opportunity to kind of talk about our services.
Yeah. Yeah, and you bring up a good point, is, when you said a lot of times people don't exactly know all what that IT guy is doing. So, we talk to people all the time. They're just like, yeah, I'll be on this weekend. Like, what do you got going on for the weekend? They were like, yeah, I'll probably be working. How was your Thanksgiving? Yeah, I got a call. So we talk to people all the time that have that problem. And a lot of times that's exactly what it is the people that are giving them the additional responsibilities don't know how many responsibilities they currently have. So,
because there's 30 people.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah,
right?
And that's exactly right. And that's where, some of the major benefit of those offerings do come in, like you said, is freeing up those resources, and as you said, I don't want to fix your Outlook.
Right.
I don't need to downgrade you from Windows 11. That's not my job. But my job here is to help your end users, so you don't have to help your end users. Things like that.
Did we just kind of come like a weird full circle? Like, we're the IT people, so it's all our job?
Kinda, yeah. That's pretty much it.
That was pretty amazing. Not sure we'll accomplish that again. So yeah, again, we're obviously you're watching this podcast out on planet.verify.com. I think Vic, you wanted to get a poll out there for the eggnog related stuff. What kind of booze are you putting in the eggnog? Any services related things. I'm pretty passionate about services, so I'll be happy to talk about any of that if anybody wants to get anything going. And one thing that we mentioned on our last one, so we've got the Variphy 12.4 coming out, and we've been trickling out some of the features that are going to be available. Again, those are on Planet under What's New. And we have a webinar, I believe, this week outlining what's new in 12.4. Vic, are you handling that one, or is that one of the
I
other
am not. Yeah, I am not on that one. But yeah, the next 2 weeks we'll have webinars about some 12.4 content.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us this week. Check out the What's New section on Planet. Also, hop over to the Cantina. Vic is going to be anxiously awaiting the results of the poll, or just kind of people's input on what goes into that eggnog. And again, thank you for joining us. If you guys have any suggestions, if anybody wants to hear us talk about anything, or if we need to kind of circle back and dive deeper into something, please let us know.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Time's up.